Okay, and welcome to the hints for homework sheet number 10. The first question is to remove a couple of brackets. So I think a lot of us are now doing the method where we do 2x times x, 2x times 1, negative 3 times x, negative 3 times 1, which gets us an expression 2x squared, so many x's, and then a number at the end. Similarly, x times x, x times negative 2, negative 2 times x, negative 2 times negative 2, that's going to get us another expression with x squares, x's and numbers. And the question says we have to do a great big takeaway sum. So we do 2x squared, take away x squared, however many x's we've got here, take away how many x's there, and then whatever number here, take away the number here, gives us another number there. Question 2, we have got negative 3, then we have to add another negative 2, then we have to take away 5, which we can't do, so we need to put 5 in. Compensate by putting the negatives in for those. Now we can take away 5. Now we can finally take away negative 1, and we've got our answer. Now the second part of this question is a wee bit more complicated. There's lots of brackets, but basically the first thing we need to do is this bracket here. So we need to do positive 3, add negative 2, do a bit of cancelling. Then we deal with negative 2 times that, and then lastly it's positive 5, take away whatever that comes to be. Question 3. Question 3, that's the one about Penny at her lunch, yeah. So there's Penny's lunch plate. Now she eats 3/4. So in terms of a diagram, she eats that quarter, she eats that quarter, she eats that quarter. Then she says to Mum, can I leave? Mum says, no, don't be silly, you need to finish off what you've ate, or ate some more anyway. So what she does is that she eats 3/4 of this part. So split them into quarters. So she eats this quarter, this quarter, this quarter, and then she leaves that little bit there. And the question is, what is that fraction? Now we really need to do it mathematically. So if we use fractions, she's got the whole of her lunch, take away the 3/4 that she's ate, which means she's left with 1/4 of her lunch. Now she eats 3/4 of that amount. Now the secret of mathematics is to remember that the word off can be replaced by a times sign. So we've got 3/4 times a quarter, get that answer. That's how much she's ate of the last amount. Okay, so what does she have left? She had a quarter left, so you need to do 1/4, take away this answer, and you'll be left with how much is left for her meal. Question 4, the garden. Hammy's garden is in the shape of a circle, so it's a equals pi r squared, so that's pi times, and the question has been very nice and told us it's 3 for the radius, so that's 3 squared, so we're going to get that answer on our calculator. And the local garden centre sells each metre squared for £3.96, so we're going to times that by £3.96, and that's going to give us how much the grass is going to cost. Question 5. The professor in the question, Professor Crisp P. Bacon, has been grown a culture. It increases by 50%. So 100 add 50 gives us 150%. Turn that into a decimal. That's the multiplier. So 1.5 to the power. Now how many hours is it grown for? 5 times, how much did it start off with? 600 million. Now there's no need to put all the zeros in. We can just go for 600 million because our answer is going to be in millions. So we get that answer on our calculator. Okay, and let me tell you, it should have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, a decimal point, a couple of numbers, and that's in millions. Question wants 2 significant figures, so we're really only interested in these 2. Okay, so this number here will tell you how to round it. Okay, and then put it in its standard form, scientific notation, times 10 to the power something. Okay, so remember a million's got 6 zeros, plus all the zeros you've got up here, 1 here and 1 here. You won't bother about these ones. So whatever this number is, times 10 to the power. Question 6. Okay, we've got this little building block. Now the volume of the cube on the top, question tells us the cube is size 1.2. So that's 1.2 times 1.2 times 1.2. So that's the top one. The cylinder, we know the formula is pi r squared h. Now, do we know the radius from the question? Yep, the question tells us that the radius is 2.5. And do we know the height from the question? Yep, it tells us the height is 2. So we're going to get that answer as well, and then we're going to add these 2 answers together for the total volume. The second part of the question is a wee bit more complicated. Okay, we need to work out how much has been painted. So let's say we're painting that whole cube to start with. So that's the top, the front, the side, the back, the side and the bottom. So that means there's going to be 6 faces painted. So that's 6 times the square area. So we're going to get that answer. And then the second part of the question, the surface area of a cylinder, I've told you, is 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. So you take the radius, 2.5, you take the height, which is 2, and you plug it into that formula, and you get the surface area of the cylinder. Now, we need to add these 2 together, and that's all the surfaces that are needing painting. But be careful, there's a wee twist in this question. And the wee twist in this question is that this part here of that shape is not going to get any paint, is it? Because that's where that cube sits on top of. So once you've added these 2 together, you're going to have to take something away. And I'm going to let you work out what that is before you get the final answer. And the very last question, calculate the average speed of the flight. So we're going to use the formula, speed equals distance divided by time. The distance is 10,066 miles, and we're going to divide that by 9 hours and 15 minutes. Now the problem is that we can't put 9 hours 15 in the calculator, so we're going to have to put that in as 9 point something. So see if you can figure out what that point is before we put it in the calculator to get the final answer of miles per hour. Okay, do not put 9.15, that is wrong. You find out what's got to go in there. Okay, how do you do that? I hear some people asking. Well, we know that 30 minutes is equal to half an hour, and half an hour would be 0.5. So you should know what to put in for 15 minutes. Okay guys, hopefully that helps.